Hey there guys, Alex Invests here, and a happy Sunday to all of you. Today, I want to talk to you guys about a few things. The first one is Exro Technologies. We got some news there. Finally, I told you guys in my last Exro video, which was on Wednesday, about how, Exro, they haven't seen any news lately, and some of the other reasons why we've seen sort of the price continually drop here. And right after I filmed that video, we did actually get the luxury of some news. So I want to go through that, and it is some very good news there too. And then I also want to go through MVMD with you guys and just talk to you guys a little bit about where I see them going now in the more near term here, especially with their ivectosol, which is their ivermectin kind of format with their solubility, etc. there. So I want to go through those two things, but we're going to start off here with this right here. And this is obviously the report from Exro Technologies here, where we're seeing the start of commercialization here, really. And that is just fantastic news. So first of all, Exro has validated integration, and we're just going to start with these three things up here, right? Exro has validated integration of its 100-volt coil driver with Heinzman PMS motors to drive expanded speeds, increased torque, and switches under load, right? All three of them, they've now basically validated that their 100V coil driver works inside this the Heinzman motor, the PMS motor. That is just leading us to commercialization here. We can see Exro to commercialize motor and inverter system solutions alongside Heinzman machines for light mobility applications, right? And commercialization of standard solution to start in fourth quarter 2021, with first revenues expected in first quarter of 2022. Now, this is great news, but what's interesting about that, and I guess we'll start there, is that Exro says on their kind of timeline, which we always go through, we always talk about that timeline, right? That they will have first revenues in the fourth quarter of 2021 here. So it'll be interesting to see whether they have commercialization or starting to get revenues in here in the fourth quarter already from another kind of partnership they have, or whether we're going to see first revenues actually in general in the first quarter of 2022 here, which would put them about a quarter behind sort of the schedule they have, but still really, really good there. Now, the first thing is sort of what we're getting out of these tests, which is fantastic news here. We can see coil switching under load is successful and operating as expected at peak current. And from this last paragraph here, or from this last sentence here, we can see the coil driver was able to optimize motor torque and speed capabilities and effectively function at the machine's mechanical limitations, right? And so what that is basically saying is that everything from the 100V coil driver that was meant to be achieved has been achieved here in validation. So that is pretty much the best thing you could expect here to have happened. You know, functioning at the mechanical limitations of the machine, right? Which means that really the coil driver can't operate better than it's currently operating inside the Heinzman PMS motors here. So that is just fantastic news for us as Exro investors, because that just means their technology works so well. And sure, we already knew this in a way, but this just kind of backs up essentially what we already knew into an actual report here, and seeing that validation, not just semi-working, and the coil driver not just, it increases speed and torque, let's say, but not to the levels that they were looking for. Well, here we're seeing that it's to the levels that they were looking for. Now, this validation is a major milestone towards commercialization of our coil driver. Now, what do I keep saying on this channel? When we hit commercialization, that's when we're going to see the price of Exro just skyrocket, right? And we're already starting to see that here. Obviously not yet reflected in price, but the fact that they're moving here towards commercialization and we have hit a major milestone for commercialization, that's just going to be great things moving forward for Exro. And again, by the end of the year, I really do expect this price to be much higher, because there will be at commercialization phase. And at that point, they're going to start getting in those revenues, right? And we're really going to see the price start to move from there. Now, it depends what kind of revenues we see, obviously, whether they're low or high, and that's kind of where the risk comes in there. But in general, they do have a lot of partnerships here. Heinzman is one of their bigger partnerships, so I do think we're going to see some significant revenues coming from this. But of course, we'll have to wait and kind of see how many PMS motors they integrate this into, sort of how many they're building, etc. like that. And we don't know any of that information yet, so we're just gonna have to wait and see about that. But this second point here, where it says the combined system solutions not only demonstrates how our technology enables greater control of an electric motor, but also breaks significant barriers for us to generate revenue from delivering our coil driver to all mobility segments, right? And so what they're saying here is that yes, we've validated this technology in the PMS motor, but it's not just for the PMS motor. This gives us validation for all range of light mobility vehicles, and that's really the amazing thing about this report, right? We're not just talking about Heinzman PMS motors, we're talking about any kind of light mobility motors that they now have validation for, and they can start looking for partners and start sort of using the partners they already have in implementation and then commercialization, and then from that, that's where we get to revenues, right? So that is really, really good news here. In fact, I think this might be probably the biggest thing in this little report here, because it just shows us where we're headed with the technology outside of just the PMS motors, outside of just the Heinzman partnership here, but within all partnerships with their 100V coil driver technology here. So really good things there. And MVMD just has so much going for them right now, right? We've talked about kind of the whole vaccine side of things, and you can go check out, I kind of did a whole video on just explaining how sort of their QuickZone and their QuickSol technology are going to work with vaccines. But really their near-term revenues here all have to do with ivectosol, which is their 1% ivectosol, which is essentially they're a version of ivermectin, which first of all is soluble, so it can be injected, and also, as per their tests, kind of provides not only better oral intake, but then obviously the IV form is 800% as effective as what's out there right now. The oral form 500% as effective, and people sleep on this a little bit, I think, the whole ivermectin thing, right? Because people don't understand it. What is it, right? And really it's a drug for parasitic uses, and the animal kind of aspect of it here, specifically chicken and these smaller animals, weren't able to get injected by ivermectin to kind of save the population before of animals, and they just have to be killed off. Well, now with this ivermectin, they are able to do this, and they've started doing that in sort of Bangladesh now. That's some of their most recent news, right, that came out. And I think people don't really understand the application of ivermectin that well, and there's a lot of things there, and that's kind of why I want to make another video maybe on kind of ivermectin, on ivectosol, on this selamectin, etc. things, which are a whole nother category that they're working on that nobody else is doing. And this is where their most near-term revenues are going to come from. That's what Dennis Hancock, their CEO, says anyways. And I can see that because they're really almost at that commercialization phase now with that ivermectin, right? So we're going to start seeing and realizing revenues from that pretty soon here, in my opinion. And there's a little bit of a movement by MVMD right now trying to kind of get this going for ivectosol here in Canada, etc. Right? We can see just from this one here, it says Changemakers Unite. If you live in Canada and want to see positive change, sign this petition. The evidence is clear. Hashtag ivermectin is safe and effective. Please share and retweet. Now, what they're trying to do here is bring, and I did talk about this in my interview with Dennis Hancock, but they can essentially give ivermectin to a group of people, and for 14 days, let's say 2 weeks, right? And what that does is any viruses, any parasites, anything really that is kind of born within that population there that is going to receive that ivermectin will be eliminated in 2 weeks. Now, why that's so relevant to COVID is, let's say there's a new COVID strain that's going around in a specific kind of area, and we know about that. Then what you can do, or what MVMD wants to do here, is basically take their ivectosol, bring it into that population wherever the new strain of COVID is. They can give everyone ivermectin for 2 weeks, and that COVID strain, it will essentially be gone. And that's kind of their end goal here, right? So basically they're trying to eliminate the need for a COVID vaccine in a sense, and it's not, eliminates the wrong word, because you still want to have a COVID vaccine to kind of fully get rid of it. But then with these extra little strains that you can't get rid of with the vaccine, we can they can just quite easily eliminate that strain quite quickly by just giving it to a population. So that's kind of what they're working on right now. That's kind of what they're pushing right now. And I think with the kind of push to ivectosol and ivermectin, we're going to see revenues pretty soon here. Now, it's hard to value MVMD as a company. I understand that, because we don't know about their license agreements. We don't know kind of the percentage they get. We don't know the market they get, markup they get. We don't know what royalties they get and how fully their licensing agreements work, since they do it kind of on a company by company basis, depending on how much value they give, right? But once we start realizing revenues here with just the ivermectin aspect, which might come sooner than people are expecting, I think we are going to see a jump in the price here of the stock, because even that alone, I think it does provide a lot of value, and whoever does end up licensing that will be paying will be giving MVMD quite decent revenues here to start off with already. So right now is still a fantastic time to buy it, especially since there's been some talks about that Anson research fund kind of pulled a short attack on MVMD, and that's kind of why we're seeing the price so low right now. And so I think it's a fantastic time to get in. I'll probably be buying more shares tomorrow, Monday, right? And that's just because I really, really believe in this company, and I do see them doing really, really well. So that's kind of where I'm putting my money into, is MVMD, is Exro, is CMC as well. I've got a bit of a price target video coming up for you guys on CMC. But yeah, MVMD near-term revenues, ivermectin, I think it's going to be big news, especially with their BSL facility news coming out soon here. Again, their FDA approval for their liposome technology coming out soon here. FDA for ivectosol is coming out soon here, right? So many catalysts that are really going to push this price up in the near term, and that's why I'm picking up shares now while I still can. Let it be known that I've brought up my price, my cost basis from 45 cents a share to $1 a share. So I've been buying a lot of MVMD lately, guys, and I could not be happier about it, to be honest with you. So that's kind of that. I am filming a few less videos these days because I'm super busy right now, but I still will be getting 2 videos out a week for you guys. Tuesday, Thursday is the plan. So other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. Enjoy it next week. We might see some more red though, so do stay tuned for that, just because of some of the things going on. The Suez Canal is blocked right now as well. That might lead to sort of short-term inflation in a way, and from there we might see a little bit more price drop next week. For sure we will be seeing more price of volatility next week, but that's kind of why I'm in these news-based stocks right now too, and sort of these ones that will have big revenues moving forward. Yes, and yes, that kind of goes along to say with well, they might still drop a little bit more, but any news on them, what's going to happen is those revenues are going to be realized more quickly, and that is going to push up the price, because those future revenues won't be as much determinable of where MVMD is going or any of these other ones, because we have that revenue now. So that's kind of it. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, share, subscribe, do it all. And other than that, have a fantastic rest of your day, guys, and I will see you on Tuesday.